Don't just hurry up tomorrow. Live today as it is. A vanity project for the weekend. Vanity, thy name is a ball. Hurry Up Tomorrow was written and directed by Trey Edward Schultz, who did It Comes at Night and Waves. I personally loved Waves. It was so goddamn amazing. Taylor Russell, oh my god, Taylor Russell, you amazing talent. Taylor Russell is nowhere near this. Jenna Ortega is. Jenna Ortega needs a new agent, because even though Death of a Unicorn was actually pretty good, she needs a new agent. If you don't know who The Weeknd is, Blinding Lights, and also he's done other music. The Weeknd is a musician, and he plays a musician. He plays himself. He might as well have been playing with himself with what he was doing in this movie. A vanity project where basically it is based on his actual experience of losing his voice, apparently, evidently, and it is told through very little narrative and a whole lot of bullshit. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I didn't like this movie, as if you couldn't guess from the opening little bit of this review. While I understand what they were going for, and I like Trey Edward Schultz, and he wasn't the only one that wrote this, The Weeknd had a hand in writing this, and Risa Fahim had something to do with this. But Jenna Ortega, Barry Keoghan, who was in Saltburn, The Banshees of Inisherin, and Bird. Watch Bird. Bird is really fucking terrific, but Barry is really, really good. He's just not allowed to be good here. And Riley Keough. I kept saying Riley Keough, because I apparently don't know how to read letters and names and stuff like that, or I just don't care. She was in Sasquatch Sunset. That was another movie that wasn't that good. Can you tell that I just really don't have much to say about Hurry Up Tomorrow, that is? I didn't really understand what the fuck they were going for here outside of The Weeknd having a vanity project. And look, yes, there are pressures to performing and maintaining an image and stuff like that. And there are movies that have dived into that plenty. It has got to be incredible pressure to use this amazing talent and still maintain your humanity. There's just none of that in this. It starts off with a silly little bit of, kaleidoscopic colors. And then we see The Weeknd at a concert. And then we see Jenna Ortega do something. And Barry plays Lee, who's his, manager, so to speak. And Jenna Ortega's kind of a Weeknd super fan. Everybody's working for The Weeknd. Everybody needs a second chance. Everybody's going to go off the deep end. And Trey Edward Schultz needs to be reeled the fuck in. So after watching a little bit of The Idol, I am convinced that The Weeknd needs to stick to singing, because he's just not very good at acting. He's really fucking not. But that being said, there's an idea here to explore. It's just not done very well. It is in theaters if you want to check it out, but this is terrible. Really, really boring, and kind of just ends up, it just ends. And it's like, oh, okay, that's it. That's what we meandered through. This fucking fiasco of a film. Hurry Up Tomorrow might not end up in my top 10 worst movies of 2025, but it's going to end up at the very least one of the most disappointing movies. I'm looking forward to this because of the director and Jenna Ortega being involved. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Jenna Ortega burns down her house, seemingly because she wants to start over. She gets a call from her mother sometime later. This is either the house that her mother was in, or it was a house that her mother had bought her, but she ruins everything she touches. The Weeknd also just sleeps around, as most celebrities do. But he let one girl in, and then he ended up hurting her, and now he's trying to get her back, and she won't answer him, and he's letting his ego get out of control. He ends up doing a lot of drugs and drinking. Barry plays a great partier, I do want to say. I mean, I kind of almost feel like he's just doing an extension of his personality, but he does also seem level-headed, so maybe he's just really, really good at acting. But they end up partying. Jenna, anemia. This thing has blood anemia as far as I'm concerned. She burns down this house with a gas can, takes the same gas can, goes and drives to a gas station. And while a guy is seemingly taking about 4 years in the gas in the station, that kind of looks like it's an off-brand Shell. She gets her gas can over there, fills it up and everything, and then puts the tank back in there because she's going to do something else. She ends up showing up to The Weeknd's concert, and The Weeknd had basically just been saying, hey, I'm not doing well at all. he loses his voice. Some of it could be stress, some of it could be pressure, whatever it is. And he ends up cracking, totally cracking on stage, freaks out. He sees Jenna Ortega and basically freaks out and loses the ability to talk. And I can understand that because Jenna Ortega is an ethereal, beauty and a very, very good talent. She's an incredible talent. And she looks great. And she's going to be such a star in dramas and horror for years and years and years. She is a fucking megastar. The Weeknd, however, is a megastar of the music industry. He can sing. I, again, do enjoy some of his music, but good God, I don't know how many takes they did for this, but man, these are the takes they went with. I hate to see the ones on the cutting room floor. They end up essentially hooking up, and then after one, beautiful night and everything, of drinking and whatnot, he ends up basically, says at one point to her, like, don't leave me. Well, she kind of takes that as a way, my God, he's actually somebody I could be with, because she burned down everything to be with him, seemingly as a super fan. And now he basically doesn't want anything to do with her. If he comes back through, they could sleep together, but he's going to go on the rest of his tour to Australia, despite the fact he left a concert early. Probably not good publicity. His manager can't find him, but he ends up basically getting knocked out at one point. This is almost an hour into the goddamn movie, and then he's freaking out. He has a cell phone light. He's freaking out. This one woman is upset in a tunnel. This crazy stuff's going on. He's having these hallucinations. Throwing away my notes because none of it's important. And basically, it turns out that Jenna Ortega has him tied up. There are worse ways to spend a Saturday night. But this is basically because he's living a destructive lifestyle, and maybe she is like the way to bring him back to solace and bring him back to the bright side of life. The only, halfway decent scene in this is her dancing to Blinding Lights, and I forgot the name of the other song. Was it Gasoline? I think Gasoline was a line in it, which is fitting because she has a can of gasoline that she is going to end up using. But first, Lee then shows up, and he's trying to just be nice and restrain her, but then she kicks him in the balls at one point. I'm skipping over a lot of this stuff, because a lot of it basically is just a piss-poor narrative. It is really, really bad, and The Weeknd is not an interesting actor. She ends up kneeing Barry in the balls, and then he's trying to get her to still stop, and then she stabs him with something. A wine cork, something, I don't know, and he bleeds out. And she's freaking out. And The Weeknd is still tied up, and he basically has to admit, this is after he had called that woman that he claimed that he loved and basically talked about, oh, you're going to abandon me. You're going to try to screw over me. I'm better than you, and you know it. Wait, that's MJF, who would have been much better in this role. Couldn't have been any worse, let me just say that. And he basically is like, oh, I'm going to be a celebrity, you're going to be a nobody. But basically, he's spiraling. And now he ends up finding his singing voice again. He's singing. And this is after she'd poured gas on him on the bed and was going to set it on fire. But then she decides to put the lighter back. And then I guess whatever. And then he's back at the concert. He's going to do stuff. So was this all a dream? Was it a drug-fueled dream? Was this just him working his way through his mental health struggles? Was this just a way for Trey Edward Schultz to get more film? Or more credits for a film? I mean, because this isn't any Waves. This isn't any It Comes at Night. This is not good. Hurry Up Tomorrow? More like, hurry up and please never do something like this again. This is really bad. F. It gets an F. I'm sorry. Somebody save Jenna Ortega. Get Barry some better roles like he's had in the past. And stop having The Weeknd act, because he can't. Stick to music, pal. Nevertheless, F, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.